We are already at week 3. By the end of this weekend, the halfway point of the fantasy regular season is done, which is kind of crazy. It's no longer early, so you know what we're doing here. We're making our tier list for the week 7 ranking. We do them a little bit differently. Don't necessarily just say tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, but we kind of group players together in terms of their situations and the type of players they are. So if you've been watching these, you already know. So starting off, number 1 overall, we have Kyron Williams, who is freaking awesome, man. I was going back and looking last year. He had 2 games. I think this was PPR, 2 games under 10 points, and they were like 7 or 8 points, so it wasn't terrible. And then like one other game below 15, it was like 14.7. So like basically since last year and the first 5 weeks of this year, which is a little bit over a season because he missed, I think, 5 games last year. The dude just like is Mr. Consistent. So just a little shout out there. Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson, and Kenneth Walker. I keep putting Bijan there. I just keep doing it. Although he did have a good week last week. And then our no-brainers, we'll kind of combine these two, and then I'll let you talk here, Brian. We have Joe Mixon, who just came back and put up a 25-point week. So literally his 2 games that he's played full and healthy this year, over 25 points, which is absolutely insane. Chuba Hubbard is I heard on pace for over 2,000 total yards with Andy Dalton. Breece Hall, who looked good finally last week. Tony Pollard, I put in here. Basically, I kind of group Pollard, Dobbins, and Jacobs as guys who have been top 20 guys essentially, and they're getting a lot of work, and I don't see how you can kind of bench those guys. And then Brian Robinson, Kareem Hunt, I think, had 30 touches last week. Don't think he's going to get that. But and then James Cook, who I think just got a report that he's expected to play. So I'll let you talk now, Brian. I think we're 2 minutes in and I haven't let you talk yet. So go ahead. What do you want to talk about here?
Is this thing on? No. No, I mean, a lot of these guys are no-brainers. Just like the category says, expecting a lot of there are a lot of good matchups for sure, with the running backs this week. I'm kind of thinking, Jonathan Brooks has already been ruled out, but he is starting to practice now for the Panthers. And I'm kind of curious what that situation is going to look like. I mean, Chuba's just been so good, like you said. You can't just put him back in the box, and you want to ease Taylor or Brooks into the role a little bit.
Yeah.
But I wonder if the Chuba managers should start thinking about trading him. Maybe to the Jonathan Brooks manager, or if you have both, that works. But I definitely wouldn't do it this week. It's just such a juicy matchup.
Well, here's how I'm approaching Chuba. So his 21-day window has opened up, right, for Jonathan Brooks. So basically 3 weeks. If they don't activate him by then, he's done for the year essentially. So I look at their schedule, and they have 3 weeks. Is this week. And then they play the Broncos, they play the Saints, and then 4 weeks out is the Giants, and then they have a bye. I kind of look at Chuba Hubbard as I think he's a must-start no-brainer for 4 more weeks, and then they have their bye, and then November 24th against the Chiefs, we can start talking about Jonathan Brooks. So, I that's kind of how I'm approaching Chuba, and I could be wrong, but that's kind of how I'm doing. It just kind of lines up perfectly. The 3 weeks comes a week before the bye. I don't really expect Jonathan Brooks to get him to get going until November 24th.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I was looking at that exact same thing and I don't think Jonathan Brooks just comes in and just completely takes over given how well Chuba's played. Yeah. So it could work its way into a closer to a 50-50 split later in the year. But yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. And who knows, you might be able to trade Chuba for a solid piece in a few weeks. But yeah, I really like.
I'm also sorry. I'm interested if they maybe potentially trade him as well, Chuba, because he has like a lot of. I'm assuming he'd bring back pretty good for a running back, pretty good value. I think this is his 3rd year, so I think next year is his last year on the contract. So yeah, but anyways, you were gonna say?
I was just gonna say I really like all these guys. Like they either have like just choice matchups slash, they are the dudes like in their offense. Like a lot of like Pollard with Spears out, Dobbins with Gus out. Kareem Hunt. I don't think CEH is coming back to take away what he's done. Like he could see his workload go down a little bit, like you mentioned, but yeah, all in all, these guys are just great.
Yeah, 100%. By the way, this is Chuba's 4th year, so I think this is his last year. So if I'm the Panthers, I'm looking to trade him for sure. Tough matchups. These guys are all kind of no-brainers as well. Just wanted to highlight they do all have tough matchups. Lions and Vikings playing each other. Those are two. I think they're the top 2 run defenses or points allowed to fantasy running backs. 49ers, and now I'm blanking on the Chiefs. They're playing the Chiefs, right?
The Chiefs.
Yeah. Chiefs have shut down like every running back. And then James Conner against the Chargers. I'm still a little bit skeptical about how good the Chargers defense actually is. It's by all the numbers, it is really good, but like you look at their schedule and who they've played. They played Raiders week 1. They played a Bryce Young Panthers week 2, the Steelers week 3, and then the Chiefs, who we have to say is not a good offense. I think that was, they lost Rashee Rice that game and didn't have Kareem Hunt yet week 4, and then the Broncos week 5. Like they've had like a really nice schedule in terms of not so great offenses. But yeah, all tough matchups, but I'm playing all these guys. Don't really know if there's much to say here unless you want to touch on one of these guys.
No. I wonder if the pace of play that the Chargers like run through, like how they operate has a lot to do with the lack of production from the running backs in general. But they're only giving up less than 80 yards a game on the ground, which definitely is a lot. But yeah, that could just be a pace thing. It's definitely something to kind of keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, Aaron Jones, I put in here. He is injured, but they say he's likely to play. Are you maybe benching him because he's like coming in injured and it's a really tough matchup? Are you trying to like get away from him, or are you just going to go for it and he's been good and I can't bench him kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it. Like a lot of people are probably going to start him. I'd like to bench him, definitely, just given the injury. I mean, they obviously need him.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't they sign they signed someone.
They traded for Cam Akers.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure that's just like a depth move, but that's kind of a signal like, oh, man, like it's not just going to be the Ty Chandler show kind of a thing,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and obviously, like those guys, the Vikings are just kind of rolling with Sam Darnold and their receivers, So
yeah,
I don't know how much they would actually need Chandler to do, really.
Yeah, no, agreed. The next group are to me, I'm kind of considering these guys flexes with good matchups. It's Achane and Mostert. I think Mostert, like in a almost like sneaky way, he had 19 carries and 2 catches last time they played, October 6th. They had a bye last week against the Patriots. Obviously, Achane was out or got the concussion that game. But anyways, these guys, with the Tyler Huntley-led offense, you got to be a little bit scared with these guys. The offense just could completely get shut down, but they do play the Colts. So really nice matchup there. Eckler and the Commanders, who Eckler continues, as long as he gets 3, 4, 5 catches every game, he's going to be a flex, especially in PPR leagues. And they play the Panthers. Antonio Gibson, who I think Ramondre is gonna miss again. At least he was a DMP the first 2 weeks. They play the Jags. We got Madison, who's getting a bunch of touches, and he's also catching a bunch of passes. and they are playing who are they playing again? The Rams, yeah, which is one of the teams to talk about, and then to target. And then Tyler Algier is an interesting one, but he's just getting a lot of freaking work. As much as we hate it, they play the Seahawks, which is a pretty good matchup. Could also be high scoring, but Algier, he had, maybe it's just because it played the Panthers, but he had 19 touches last week. So anyone you want to touch on there you disagree with, or maybe think they should go up or down?
I would say that, we don't really have this category, but I think Achane and Mostert are both like RB2s with upside. Like you said, given the matchup, the Colts are just letting so much up on the ground, and they don't have, like you said, it's Tyler Huntley throwing the ball, so they just don't really have that piece, to like really make it work.
Yeah.
So I really like them this week. And, Eckler, I'm sure he's going to have, he's going to keep doing what he's been doing, like probably, flex with high upside too, because we don't know what, like if Brian Robinson's fully going to be back, or he's going to be similar to like what he was last week, or no, 2 weeks ago, where he played very little, but he got the goal line stuff, so he saved his week.
Yeah.
Just there. So yeah, like I really like Eckler this week too. I was just trying to look up to see if Ramondre said, okay, he's expecting to play.
He's expecting to play.
Yeah, that's the update I see from 2 hours ago.
Well,
he expects to play, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's tough. I guess we can get to that when we get to like the giant injury tier report thing we have here. So,
okay.
Yeah. And next one is, guys, I think you can also flex, but not so great matchups. I think really when I talk about like bad matchups, like tough matchups or really good matchups, I kind of just look at the top 5 on both ends. And I think beyond that, it's like, I think we to put a little bit too much stock into like there's really only like 3, 4, 5 defenses you want to always target or completely avoid if you can. But it's the Bengals guys, Moss and Chase Brown playing the Browns. Not a great matchup there. You got the Steelers and Najee Harris, who finally looked good. They're playing the Jets. Can't believe he actually like averaged more than 4 yards a carry. It was amazing. I think these guys you can still possibly flex. The Zach Moss and Chase Brown thing is interesting. I don't really know what's happening there. I think Zach Moss fumbled, and then they kind of all went to Chase Brown after that, but it could just be back to like what they were doing before. I really don't know, but flex is at best for now, and then we'll kind of reevaluate after. I think this week will be very telling.
Chase Brown fumbled too, like after.
But they recovered it, right? Because that was like near the end of the game.
Okay, not lost. There it is.
Yeah, if they lost it, it would have been like, they could have lost that matchup against the Giants. But
yeah.
But yeah, I think this week's going to be very telling for just the whole what's going on in that running back room. Because if they kind of just status quo and it doesn't go a little bit more towards Chase Brown, I think they're kind of telling you, what it's going to be. So in this freaking running back room, the Buccaneers, Rachaad White, Bucky Irving, Sean Tucker now added to the list. So it's like they're saying it's going to be a 3-headed monster, ride the hot hand, which is just terrible. It's almost better if like Rachaad White played last week for Bucky Irving, because like now you're a little bit worried about Sean Tucker. Some people think that Sean Tucker is the best running back in that running back room. So I think if Rachaad White's out, I can start both these guys, Bucky and Sean Tucker. What are you doing if Rachaad White's playing though?
I honestly, I'm
playing
not,
the Ravens, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I'm not ready to start Sean Tucker.
Yeah,
some people think he's the best in the NFL. We saw some major fab dumps this week, especially in Dynasty. But yeah, I mean, given the matchup, given like the muddiness of the running back room, like I don't want to start Tucker even if Rachaad White misses. Like I'll start Bucky in that situation. But yeah, I am not excited about any of this. Yeah, he really like threw a wrench. Sean Tucker did. He threw a wrench in the whole thing by being so good last week. Which is good for him. Like he would.
One thing I'll say about Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he would have been a great Hail Mary pick.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, you add that on top of they're playing the Ravens, who are fifth best against running backs. Although pass catching running backs, they give up some points too. One thing I'll say about Sean Tucker is like when we scouted him it was going into the 2023 NFL draft, we kind of liked what we saw out of him. He was carried the load type of guy. He's very fast. Like he runs reportedly. So he had like a heart condition heading into the combine and pre-draft stuff, which is why he fell to undrafted in my opinion. I don't know if we got an official 40-yard time, but people are saying he runs like in the low 4.3s. And he's like, he's not a small guy either. He's pretty strong. Like he's just that rare combination of size and speed. Didn't really do anything last year. So it's kind of like you forget about him, but it's a guy that like a lot of people liked heading into the draft. And he just kind of, got forgotten about. So just wanted to throw that out there, but we have a big, giant injury tier here, which man, I don't even know. So let's start with, it sounds like, did I hear? Yeah, Singletary's going to play, but they still expect to get Tyrone Tracy a huge or a big, significant workload, whatever that means. So what does that mean for us? Like, what was it? Singletary will return. However, Tyrone Tracy will still see significant playing time. Do we just throw them both into like a flex spot here? They're playing the Eagles, whose defense isn't that great. They give up. They're kind of middle of the road against running backs. Are we just throwing them into like some kind of flex spot here? Is that what we should do with these guys, or avoiding them and see what happens? Start with the Giants guys.
Yeah, I think, flex at best for both or for either one of these guys. Not super excited about it, but I mean, what are you going to do? Like if you were the Singletary manager, you were kind of probably a little bummed out the last few weeks, how good Tracy has looked, because but I think they can still be, flex worthy for sure. Like given the matchup.
Yeah. And it depends on if you play in deeper leagues. Like we're starting 9 or 10 people. So in a 12 team, like I think Tracy and Singletary probably both starters. Sounds like Cook's going to play. We ranked Cook as kind of a no-brainer. I think Ray Davis is probably like, I want to wait and see type of situation here. Maybe he's in that Buccaneers tier where it's like, if you're super desperate, you can start him, but like, kind of wait and see, right? How's this going to look like? It's just going to all go back to James Cook. So I don't know if you agree with that or if you're willing to start Ray Davis.
No, I'm not willing to start him. Not quite yet. Like, I mean, tough matchup, definitely a guy in front of him, like I think he has earned himself a little more playing time, I would think. And plus Ty Johnson, man. Ty Johnson.
Right. I know. No, Ty Johnson's going to have his role. That's kind of what makes you right. Like, I know you could maybe said it jokingly, but you're kind of right in that sense. Like, Ty Johnson's going to have his. So HN cleared concussion protocol, which is good. The Colts guys, I mean, I think Sermon returned to practice last week. I don't think we got the Friday update yet. We got Jonathan Taylor out. So, like, what do we do with Trey Sermon and Tyler Goodson, which, people were talking about, like, feels a little bit like Cam Akers and Agumbawale, where it's like we think it's going to be Akers, and then that player doesn't look good. Akers is Trey Sermon, or Trey Sermon is Akers in this situation. And the other guy looks a little bit better, and he can catch passes and stuff. So I actually feel like I would rather flex Tyler Goodson over Trey Sermon. I don't know if you feel the same there. If I had to choose one of them to start.
Yeah, I'm just gonna lean back into Trey Sermon. It was a tough matchup last week against the Titans. Definitely, Goodson came in and was like a lot more efficient than him, like on the ground. Plus he catches passes. So I get that, like I just, the matchup is so juicy this week against the Dolphins. So you might be able to just like start both of them. I just don't know. Well, Flacco started last week, right?
Yeah.
So
that's a whole nother. Yeah.
I don't know what Goodson's role is going to be necessarily with Richardson on the field, like as far as pass catching. Like it's still possible, but so I definitely would lean Trey Sermon over Goodson, but I mean you could definitely make the argument,
Yeah. The Jags guys sounds like ETN's a game time decision. I guess if he's going, like I'll throw him into like the flex area. He's playing the Patriots, who I don't think the Patriots are necessarily like a bad matchup. Let's see here. I think they're middle of the road. Yeah, they're one of the better matchups to target.
Yeah, they're actually pretty bad against running backs.
Yeah, so they're definitely. I guess I'll throw them both into like flex with good matchups. If ETN's active, I probably just want to avoid Bigsby. But if you have to, I don't mind it. I think if ETN's out, I can probably even, move up. I'd probably just leave him in the flex with good matchups still for Bigsby because maybe Dearness Johnson gets a little bit of a run. So I think that's kind of how we approach the Jags guys there. And then. Ty Chandler, any interest with Ty Chandler with Aaron Jones? Maybe the matchup's tough, man.
Ty
Chandler's just a bench, right?
Yeah, the only way you're playing Chandler is if Aaron Jones doesn't play and he's still in flex territory given the matchup.
Yeah, with not a good matchup. Yeah. Colts guys we talked about, and then Ramondre you said is going to play, right? Or is he going to trending towards playing?
It says that he's expected to he's expecting himself to play. So obviously keep an eye on that after the injury update today on Friday.
Let's say Ramondre plays, then I think you just kind of replace Ramondre with Gibson, and then Gibson, like you probably don't want to be starting, right? Like because it's a really good matchup, the Jags. So.
I mean that's probably about right. What did Gibson do last week with Drake May? Let's see.
He didn't do well in terms of points, I don't think, but he had a lot of touches. He had 13 carries and 3 catches. He just didn't do anything with them, really.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Gibson might remain sort of flex worthy, given the matchup, but yeah, like you're probably trying to sit him, but people are getting desperate, so I get it.
Yeah. Chubb, what are we doing, Nick Chubb? It sounds like he's going to play. I think he got a bench.
Real quick. Let me look at the actual number. The Jags are letting up 6.5 catches per game average to running backs. So
yeah, that's good.
It's good stuff.
That's really good.
Yeah.
No, for sure. They're one of the teams to target. That's for sure. Nick Chubb, I think you probably have to bench. Sounds like they're going to have him on like a pitch count type of thing. And that offense is just not good. So
yeah. There's all kinds of problems with that, but like we know what Chubb can do with a couple of carries, like he was famous for that, but yeah, coming back from that major injury, I'm sure they just want to get him in there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets like a goal line carry or two if they can actually get down there just to kind of make him feel like welcomed back kind of a thing, but it's like, that team is like an absolute dumpster fire. I don't think they're going to be able to get down in the red zone, honestly, but he just needs to take a few hits and kind of, get over that fear, make a couple of cuts, trust yourself, and then go from there. So you're not starting him this week.
Yeah. All right, on to the receivers, and we'll try and save a little time here. Number 1 overall, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I threw Godwin in here just to kind of highlight, like, this dude's been I think he's the wide receiver 1, actually, in PPR, is it? Or in half, maybe? No, he's half is Chase. Full PPR is Godwin. So, he's been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Godwin 2.5, basically. So,
yeah, he's like right there. No-brainers, Malik Neighbors back, Drake London, Metcalf, Jaden Reed, Deontay, Stephon Diggs. Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans, Debo Flowers. I think I'm moving in here for this week at least. Like he's had really good usage the last 2 weeks, 7 for 111, 9 for 132. He's going to get a carry or 2 as well. Hopefully he catches a touchdown. So T. Higgins has looked good, and that offense seems to be kind of getting going, and Devontae Smith. So again, we can try and save time here if we want. If there's someone you really want to talk about here, either good or for bad, it's kind of floors out. I'll leave you. It's up to you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Deontay is dealing with some injuries, so obviously keep an eye on that. Like he did get in a limited practice today already, but he missed the first 2 of the week. But he's trending towards playing, and he's a no-brainer if he does. So yeah, we can brush past all these guys. Mike actually is dealing with a hamstring issue, I think, too. But obviously, if he starts, you're starting him, but you got to temper expectations a little bit. But the Ravens are very, that's how you beat them if you can, is through the air. Like they're just getting, they're gonna have to throw. The Bucks are. They're gonna need Mike Evans. So
yeah, but we won't know until Saturday, really, because they have a Saturday practice. They play on Monday, so if he's going to be questionable or whatever.
Sure.
Next group is the wide receiver 2 with upside. Brandon Ayuk, who's been very, very disappointing this year, but we know what he's capable of. He showed us a couple of weeks ago what he's capable of. 8 for 147. So I still throw him in here, but yeah, very disappointed. But it's against the Chiefs, so we'll see what happens there. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. But Garrett Wilson, I think people be careful. Like, I don't think his demise is coming. Like, is he going to be a top 5 receiver? No. I think he's still easily top 24, and it might even be a little bit more consistent with him and stuff like that. Is he going to get 20 targets a game? Absolutely not with Davante Adams there, but I still think he's going to be a solid wide receiver soon. We know the upside. Tank Dell, I throw back in here. This is what we are expecting with Nico Collins out. 7 for 57 and a touchdown. So it's more about the targets and the catches than anything. Still hasn't had that big play, which we know, again, he is capable of. Tyreek Hill, I'm always just going to throw in here, even though it's tough. And then Brian Thomas Jr., who had a down week last week, but I still think he has some upside. So any one of those guys, what do you think about like Ayuk and Garrett Wilson? Actually, talk about Garrett Wilson. What you feel like with the Devontae Adams coming?
Yeah, I think it could, like, he is going to see a little bit dip in the targets, obviously with Devontae Adams there, but I think it could be good for him, where he's not just the only guy you got to cover as far, on the wide receiver side, obviously, Aaron Rodgers has made a few teams pay with Alan Lazard, throughout the season. And so not that like Garrett plays like something like a similar role or anything, but I think his efficiency can definitely go up, so yeah, I definitely think wide receiver 2, maybe like a lower end wide receiver 2, but with the upside, like he's going to have good games. Like him and Rodgers are starting to get more on the same page, and the Devontae Adams thing, like, Aaron Rodgers can definitely support 2 guys, like maybe not at like elite levels or anything, but I think it'll be good for the offense in general.
Yeah. Agreed there. And then I just kind of have like a wide receiver 2s, like not saying that these guys don't have upside, because obviously they do. Like Mooney showed us, Jameson showed us, Addison showed us, and I don't know, maybe they could just be in that tier. But it's more like these guys, like, I'm almost expecting a little bit of upside with these guys, whereas like these guys, I'm happy. Like if I got 12 points from these guys, I'm kind of like, okay. Whereas I get 12 points from these guys, I'm like, all right, like even though it's the same amount of points, I guess that's kind of how I had it in my head. They all have upside. We've seen it from all of them. So yeah, but I think, Mooney's been really good. He's top 16, wide receiver 16 this year. Jameson's better than Amon-Ra St. Brown this year, I think, in a per game basis or total points or both. I guess they haven't missed games. And then Addison with the nice matchup against the Lions.
Wait a second. Is that actually true? I did not know that about them on Ross.
What? Yeah, I might be wrong. Oh, never mind. There. Oh no, yeah, Almiron has one more point in half PPR than Jameson. So
yeah, stop being a liar. No, yeah, I mean, exactly. We're still holding on to like the draft basically, and that's why like what you said is so true still, where it's like, oh, 12 points from these guys, yay, and 12 points from the other guys. You're like, boo.
yeah,
But I'd probably put Brian Thomas in the other side of it, where it's like, yeah, you should be happy with 12 points still, just because you've seen like the boom, like you shouldn't hold it against him. But yeah, no,
it was more like he was wide receiver 8, I think, heading into last week. Like he was a top 10 receiver.
Yeah,
so I guess I'm just like looking at him like that.
Yeah, I get it. He's only wide receiver 11 now. He sucks.
Yeah.
Now, I am gonna place a prop bet as part of my parlay that Jameson Williams gets a touchdown this week. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Like the Lions are gonna have to do everything they can to beat. They need to take the Vikings down a peg. Divisional rivals, so they know how to play them. I think it's more likely to be closer to a shootout with Hutchinson out now. Like they need to just get Max Crosby over there already, like in Detroit. Like,
yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen, but
yeah, I don't know either. But how good would that be?
Both the Vikings and Lions are like top 5 worst against wide receivers. Like they give up the most points to wide receivers. So Vikings are 4, Lions are 5. So yeah, they're kind of the pass funnel teams a little bit. Wide receiver 3 leagues. If you play in wide receiver 3 leagues with a flex, I think these guys are in there. JSN, I felt like I was like, am I biased here? And then I looked and say, all right, he's wide receiver 29. Like that fits perfectly into like this tier. He gets a good amount of volume, and Tyler Lockett might miss this game. So George Pickens, like very disappointing, but I'm going to throw him in here with Russell Wilson, playing. Xavier Worthy, I think, fits perfectly in here. Demario Douglas, who I mentioned last week, like, what if he's good tier, right? What if Drake May's good? And, Drake May looked good. I know he threw a couple interceptions, but, he threw for 300 or 3 touchdowns, I think almost 300 yards or over 250, I'm pretty sure. And Demario Douglas was a big benefit. He benefited the most from that, 18.2 points in half PPR. Christian Kirk, Romeo Dobbs, I'm always going to throw in here because he runs the most routes on a really good offensive team. Juju, I'd be a little bit hesitant because he had like a 50 of his yards were kind of on like a defender missed a pretty bad tackle or a pretty easy tackle. Wandale, who is just like Mr. Consistent, really. Like, what is he? Wide receiver 27 this year and hasn't had lower than 7.5 points. So in half PPR. Michael Pittman, don't really know what to do with him, and Christian Watson, kind of in the same boat, but he did look good last week, and Dontavian Wicks might be hurt. So kind of a big tier here. Is there any 1 or 2 guys you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think the Demario Douglas thing was like, it was definitely a solid call. I think we kind of like said that on our competition video thing. Like I definitely picked him up last week when I heard, or once they basically said, oh, Drake May is going to start, I had the exact same thought where it's like, okay, well, let's get the guy who basically gets the most targets on the team, kind of a thing. And it's like, just to see what happens. Like, it's going to be a little tough to start him this week, but you probably picked him up off of waivers this week. Most people, I would say. Like, I got to imagine like his ownership percentage like shot up this week. Pittman worries me a lot. If Richardson's going to start, like, you're probably still going to throw him out there. But yeah, like I
think if Downs misses, you for sure throw him out there in 3 wide receiver leagues.
Yeah,
because Josh Downs was DMP and limited. So yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, if Downs does play, I'd play him over Michael Pittman.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, then he would basically push himself up into this 3 wide receiver set.
Yeah, he's in our injury tier right now, so we'll definitely be getting to him. Christian Watson, like what? I mean, it's encouraging to see. Like, he did it on kind of low target volume, which kind of all these Packers receivers do it on. But are you kind of firing him up in 3 wide receiver leagues after seeing the 44 yards, or 68 yards?
He's probably going to be the boom bust kind of player, that we've seen. Like, he's not going to command the high target share, like you said. Like, they're going to need him this week. Wait, I almost said that they were playing the Vikings, but they're playing the Texans. Getting my divisional rivals like mixed up here. But yeah, especially like as long as he's playing, like he's always going to be like a solid like flex play with upside. Like we've seen it from him too often. Like when he actually does play, you kind of want to start him, but just know that he can give you nothing. Like even when he is playing, so he's the Gabe Davis of the Packers, just size, speed freak. Like always, we know Jordan Love can make those throws. So
yeah, and that's why it's so hard because it's on a good offense. So we have the traders. You get it? Play on words. New teams: Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper. I have been enjoying all the reels going around with the Devontae Adams like injured as soon as the Willy Wonka limping outside of the factory and then doing the roll, and Devontae Adams when he gets to the Jets.
Bree sent me. Did you see the one where it's like a sheep that's stuck in a trench?
Yeah.
And and they like pull it out, and then it goes like hopping off, and it falls back into the trench. It's like like coming off the Raiders going to the Jets kind of a thing. Like
there's another one with like a wrestler. I forget who it was, and he's like in a wheelchair with like a cast and his legs up, and then he like takes off the blanket and he stands up and stuff. It's just But anyways, I think both these guys are going to play. Are they just kind of in like a flex 3 wide receiver leagues? You want to wait and see a little bit, or you're okay firing them up as like wide receiver 2s because they're good?
Yeah, much more confident in Devontae given like the history. But they haven't played together. Him and Rodgers haven't played together for a few years, but I'm sure that doesn't go away. Like it's got to be not as good as it was. So yeah, definitely more him than Cooper. I'm not expecting a lot from Mari Cooper this week. Just changing mid-season, but he's kind of used to that at this point. So, but yeah, I'm not super excited to start either one of them. Well, let me take that back. Wide receiver 3s. I think they basically fall in that category, and they do have the upside given who they're playing with. One with, I don't need to keep elaborating on that. Let's save some time.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you. I feel a little bit more confident with Devontae, and but I think they'll have their place for Cooper as well. So, and all it takes is one, that's for sure. This list is like I don't mind taking a shot if you need it on some of these guys. Jerry Jeudy, who is probably gonna, I made a joke in our chat like, oh yeah, like 15 targets, 3 catches, 7 yards, like. It's just terrible quarterback play, but he's going to get a lot of targets most likely. Xavier Legette, if Deontay is hurt, I don't mind taking a shot. And even if he's not, I kind of still don't mind, but not as confident. Jalen Waddle, I'm always going to have in there. It's like, I don't mind taking a shot. Like, we know what he's capable of. Michael Wilson, if Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to play, although he was kind of trending towards he might make it back, Marvin Harrison. Jacoby Myers is in there now as kind of the wide receiver 1 for the Raiders. The Rams guys, especially if Cooper Kupp's out. And even if Cooper Kupp plays, I don't mind taking a shot on one of them. I just don't know who. And then Rashad Bateman, who I brought up last week, hey, I don't mind taking a shot on him. And it paid off. So it's 2 weeks in a row now. 4 for 58 and a touchdown, 4 for 71 against Washington. So, 8 and 4 targets the last 2 weeks. They're going to be – I don't think the Buccaneers are that great of a defense that you have to worry about them. They're actually in that, top 7. They give up the most points to wide receivers. So, so some guys I don't really mind taking a shot on there. Any in particular you really like?
No. these guys are all fine, definitely keep an eye on injury reports for some of these guys or related to, Michael Wilson and Jacoby Myers both I think they missed practice yesterday. But obviously they're pretty easy starts if they do play. I don't mind the Rashad Bateman call again, it can't all be Zay Flowers, and it's definitely not going to be Mark Andrews. Well, I don't know why. I don't know why.
Hey, he caught a touchdown.
Yeah, I know. I was actually, and you know what? I don't know if that's worse. If he just had another bad game, you'd feel like a little bit better about not playing him. Oh, I guess it's been 2 good enough games.
Yeah, he's had 2 good weeks.
But yeah, just I don't know. He's back into the now he can hurt me again.
Yeah.
I'm definitely starting Mark Andrews everywhere I have him because that's how I drafted him. But it's just man, come on.
It's not like the player going against is going to have a big tight end advantage anyway. So, because tight ends have been pretty bad, except for last week, they were pretty good. Bench guys, it's the Titans guys Ridley, 8 targets, no catches. Khalil Shakir, you got to wait. Just see. I think Shakir actually is probably going to continue what he's been doing, 4 or 5 catches, 40, 50, 60 yards, the occasional touchdown, which I don't even know if he has this year, but he will catch one. Oh, he has no touchdowns. Oh, no, he has 2. He has 2 touchdowns. So I actually don't think he's going to change that much, but I do want to wait and see on it. And then the injury guys like Cooper Kupp, I'm definitely starting Cooper Kupp. If he's out there, wide receiver 2 with upside, or even maybe a no-brainer. Josh Downs, we already talked about. I feel good if he's playing in the 3 wide receiver leagues. Ladd McConkey, if you're desperate, you can I throw him in the don't mind taking a shot tier if he plays, just because he's been getting 4 or 5 catches and 50 yards or so. Marvin Harrison Jr., obviously you're going to play if he's out there. And then Lockett, I don't know. I don't even know what Lockett is. He's just one of those players, you look at it and it's oh yeah, he gets 8 targets, right? In last week he had a good week and 4 for 65 and a touchdown, but I don't know. I guess he should be don't mind taking a shot probably.
Yeah, I think he's a flex play for sure in 3 receiver leagues. You could get a touchdown.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your. I don't know. He has had 60 yards or more 3 straight weeks, so I can't just ignore that. With 4 or 5 catches.
He's got the targets.
Yeah, targets are there
with it. So any guy that's getting 7 or 8 targets a game is flex worthy, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And then I just want to throw out Kayshawn, and it is Booty according to Pro Football Reference. I know some people say Booty, but they do have it as Booty or Booty. I just want to throw him out there as this guy was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, went to LSU, he had a really good first freshman year. And then his sophomore year, he started off really well, 500 yards and 9 touchdowns in 6 games, and then got hurt, a broken ankle. And then he didn't look good the next season in 2022, his junior year, had some character issue stuff, fell in the draft, was drafted in the 6th round. Obviously, the Patriots are kind of a wasteland and stuff, but he, Booty, played 83% of the snaps last week, which I think led all Patriots receivers over Demario Douglas, over Jalen Polk. So he kind of goes into that. If Drake May is just good and he's out there, and we saw Booty catch a long touchdown pass, he could be someone we're talking about next week if he has another good week. So just want to throw him out there. 3 for 59 and a touchdown with that. I forget how long that touchdown was. It was a 40, 50-yard catch, though. So I think it was 40. Just throwing him out there. So
stash of these.
Yeah. And then I left Cortland Sutton on here, but hopefully you didn't start him because I don't even know if they targeted him, because that makes sense.
They did once, but they drew a penalty.
So, yeah, technically no targets.
Yeah, technically no targets on 86% of the snaps.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
Bad. But
I had to hear about it last week or last night because Bree started him and she was like, I knew it. And I was like, yeah, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, seriously. But that is it for week 7. Hopefully you guys all win and keep your winning going. Help us get to 700 subscribers by the end of the month. We are 25 away. So we just got another one during this recording. 25 away from 700. We got 13, 14 days left. So, yeah, we'll be live tomorrow, I think, in the morning. At least 2 of us, maybe all 3. We will see. But any last words?
Yeah, make it an account for your dog, and he can subscribe to us.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I assume at this point, your sister, your mother, your grandfather, they're already subscribed because we asked you to do that a while ago. So
yeah,
please keep it going.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a good Njoku start of the week tight end, I guess. I don't know. There's no one left there. God, that offense is going to be bad.
Yeah, it's going to be. Man, it's going to. Yeah, it's a factory of sadness. Factory of sadness is what someone called it a long time ago, and that's what it is.
Yeah. Oh, Grant Calcaterra. If what's his name misses Goddard.
I think he is going to miss. So, yeah, I like that call.
There you go. Lock it in.
But we will be back. I appreciate everyone for watching, and we will see you all in the next video.